RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message.
Dearest beloved divine brothers and sisters, friends and families in Guyana and around the world, this is another presentation of the RK's Guyana Free Media, striving to bring messages of importance on our country in Guyana, and now we are embroiled in the elections 2020, and still there is no sight in it, so most of our time is being spent on this instead of other national issues and so on. I wish to greet one and all peace. May the peace, mercies and blessings of God be with one and all. I want to remind everyone to wear their mask. This is a local mask we had made for our staff and also for ourselves, and we pass around in the streets at times. And this is my personal mask, was gifted to me. I want to advise everyone to please use your sanitizers. Don't take chances. We read some terrible and saw some terrible video of Guyanese. They need to be charged, but we probably don't have enough place to lock them up. And yesterday morning, the 6th, at Stabrook Market, fighting to get in without wearing a mask. The mayor had to take a decision to lock the markets. When people learn to comply and follow rules and orders, then fine. I think the mayor did excellent, because they want to come in and rob, and they don't want to keep the line of 4 feet apart, 3 feet apart, 6 feet apart, but they all just want to rush it into the market. This rush thing has come to an end, and maybe that's why we have coronavirus that visited us, to teach us to learn to be calm and to care our country and ourselves and calm down, take things a bit easy. Friends and families, brothers and sisters, the topic today is taken from the Kaicho News. Today's Kaicho News of 7th of May 2020. I must let you know, I was there yesterday as an observer. I'll be going again on Saturday. At the Artichoke Convention Center, some strange things are happening. The Guyana Police Force has eliminated the contracted private security company that watches the property. We know for a fact, maybe some police means good, but that's a poor decision. Company has responsibility to watch the property, the assets. They have responsibility for national security, so to say, and to watch the ballot boxes. But then people are very concerned and don't trust the police. Many people in high and low places sadly don't trust the police after certain things that transpired at the Attachments building. But it is very painful and sad and distressing, and also if they want to remove the security company, they did not think of communicating, of writing a letter, contacting the head. They just put the security guards on the road, which is very unbecoming what the Guyana Police Force always was. I could always pass orders and letters to permanent secretaries or department heads or heads of the security service, or give them a call out of courtesy. I don't know what has happened to our Guyana Police Force. I'm very distressed, I'm very worried, and I'm very sad about what's going on. Something seems to be happening to the Guyana Police Force in this new time, this new administration. Sadly, people are losing faith, people are losing interest, and people are worried and they don't feel safe, unfortunately. I must let you know, ladies and gentlemen, in our Guyana Police Force, We have had some of the finest police administrators and commissioners and policemen and women. Still do, we still do. We have some. But there seems to be a body, a team that's functioning without respect for protocols and procedures and systems. I'm pretty sure if they had contacted the head of that security company, which happens to be me, we could have worked with them. Or if they had written a letter to the permanent secretary of the ministry and carbon copy to us, we would be aware, we would meet, and we would work things over. It's a bit of a troubling time for a segment of the police department in Guyana. I am personally one who always respect police. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, my father was a senior police officer. I studied police sciences, and my heart is always for and with the Guyana Police Force and betterment for them. Now we go to the topic at hand. Diplomatic community expresses regret over absence of foreign observers. The diplomatic community has warned the start of the national recount, which commenced on Wednesday 6th. However, in commending the participation of the Caribbean community CARICOM, the diplomats have expressed regret over the absence of international observers. British High Commissioner Greg Quinn, EU Ambassador Fernando Ponce Canto, US Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch and Canadian High Commissioner Lillian Chatterjee. On Wednesday, when the recount commenced, only representatives from the European Union, a local observer from the Organization of American States, and CARICOM observers were noted to be present at the Artichon Conference Center. In a public missive, the Ambassador of the United States of America, Sarah Ann Lynch, the British High Commissioner Greg Quinn, Canadian High Commissioner Lillian Chatterjee, and the US Ambassador of the Ambassador of the European Union, Fernando Ponce Canto, stated that they welcome the recount process. According to the diplomats, the result of these elections are long overdue, and it is incumbent on all to do what they can to ensure the democratic choice of the people is heard and acted upon. Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland, in emphasizing that full transparency of the process is vital to establishing credibility, the ambassador stated, "In this respect, we welcome the role of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, although we regret that it has not been possible for a broader range of international observers to be present at the start of the process. In view of this, they urged that live streaming be used to the maximum extent possible." I must let you know, ladies and gentlemen, my commentary is that live streaming is to a virtual dead. There's no live streaming, and it was live streamed by audio, and most times it's not being done. So that is the reality of the situation of live streaming. Back to the article. As Friends of Guyana, we encourage a swift, credible and transparent conclusion to the recount process, which will allow us all to concentrate both on the threat posed by COVID-19 and the development needs of Guyana. The officials stated these concerns came against the backdrop of the Carter Center being denied approval to travel to Guyana to participate in the recount. The democracy watchdog had expressed hope to be there and had attempted to travel to Guyana to observe the recount. However, despite still being accredited, their entry request to the COVID-19 task force, which is headed by Prime Minister Moses Nagamoto and APNO's Joseph Harmon, was denied. The center was among the foreign observers who were very vocal on the lack of credibility of the declaration that was made by the returning officer for Region 4. Clement Mingo's unverified declaration would have placed the incumbent APNO AFC back in office. I wish to make a comment there, ladies and gentlemen. The Region 4 was never completed, but he went ahead with less than half of the count of the Region 4, and he went ahead and was threatening to do a declaration. And then eventually he still went ahead and did it in full view of all the international observers. It was a painful thing. Yours truly was there, was sad to observe and to see this happening. On Monday, back to the article, the center revealed that it had deployed an observer to Miami who was prepared to travel to Georgetown to observe the national recount. However, that individual was unsuccessful in joining the flight due to the denial of the necessary clearance for travel from the officials from Guyana. The special flight was organized by the United States Embassy in Guyana to come here to repatriate citizens of that country who wanted to return home. The democracy watchdog group had expressed that they continue to reach out to Guyana government officials to understand what is required to allow their team to return to Guyana to observe the recount process. However, to date, there has been no word on any progress in getting the requisite approval. The GCOM chairperson, retired Claudette Justice Singh, had committed to making queries from the COVID-19 task force in this regard, but there has been no report as to whether this was done. Credibility. Meanwhile, Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland has welcomed the commencement of the recount of votes cast in the March 2nd polls, saying that full transparency and adherence to the rule of law are vital to the credibility of the electoral process in Guyana. I welcome the commencement of the recount process in Guyana today. Full transparency and adherence to the rule of law is vital to the credibility of the electoral process, she said on her Twitter feed. Scotland said the Commonwealth continues to support the process through its senior electoral advisor to the Guyana Elections Commission. The Commonwealth Commission, which was deployed by the Commonwealth Secretary General to observe the March 2nd polls, had withdrawn from the process over allegations of electoral fraud. In particular, the observer group had stated that the vote tabulation process for District 4 was not credible. Friends and families, commentary, I was there. It was not at all credible. There were strange behavior, strange things happening. You could read the body language. You could see the movements. You could see the fraud being expressed very openly. Dear friends and family, part 2 of this broadcast. Soaked ballots, missing polling books, other controversies. Thinking again from the Kaicho News. Day 1 of the recount has concluded at the Art Conference Centre with its fair share of controversies, ranging from soaked ballots to missing poll books and leaving persons asking, what next? What next? Carol Joseph being warned about her disruptive behaviour during the vote recount process. The initially proposed 0800 start for the recount was pushed back to the number of developments that occurred, among them the presence of mystery padlocks on one of the containers containing the ballot boxes. It is understood that when questioned, none of the political parties present could account for the padlocks and chains, resulting in the Guyana Elections Commission having to cut them open. That is cause to worry, ladies and gentlemen, my commentary. Nobody could account for that padlock. And in the same one, they have water in the ballot boxes. This is something to worry about. There were also difficulties in opening the locks to themselves on a container containing ballot boxes, since many of the locks were corroded as a result of exposure to the weather for the past 2 months. Eventually, these two had to be cut. There was also disruptive behavior of APNU AFC agent Carol Joseph during the vote recount process of Region 4, Demerara, Mahaica. Joseph began behaving in a vociferous manner, yelling at all the stakeholders present at one of the workstations. She was heard telling another stakeholder, "Who the hell is you? He has to listen to me. I am a stakeholder here." The venue saw a heavy police presence. Every vehicle entering the Artichoke Conference Center compound was subjected to a search by a police sniffer dog. Presidential candidate of the Liberty and Justice Party, LJP Lennox Schumann, during an interview with media operatives, expressed concern about an apparent attempt by the APNUFC to derail the process. When we were at the Ashman's building, there was a person who threatened violence against other observers, and the lady and other agents all tried to disrupt the Region 4 count at the very same time. And so that could not just be something by chance, and it is obviously an attempt to derail the count at this time. Joseph was already embroiled in controversy during the vote tabulation for Region 4 when she allegedly provoked executive member of a new and United Guyana analog, Jonathan Yearwood. On the day in question, Joseph had spent the afternoon haranguing and harassing other representatives from other political parties, including some GCOM staff. So, there was also an issue with a ballot box container having a hole in it. It is understood that the container contained ballot boxes from at least 3 regions. When the container was opened, it was found that water had leaked into the box and soaked the ballots. At present, GCOM is yet to determine a way forward regarding the contents of the box, doing little more than draining the water from the box. While there are concerns that the ballots are damaged beyond repair, others have said that the fact that pencils are used on ballots would render them smudge-proof. That is correct, I think so. I think they just need to dry it out. Missing polling day books was another issue, with GCOM only realizing after the start of the recount that the poll books from District 1, Region 1, Borima, Waini were not present. These books, which would contain details such as the proxy voters at the particular stations, were previously in the possession of the Region 1 returning officer Trevor Harris. However, it has been alleged that he did not hand them over for the recount. These are causes to commentary to worry, ladies and gentlemen. All of this happening in the box for Region 1, cause to worry. In her interview with the media, GCOM Public Relations Officer Yolanda Ward revealed that the poll books have since been recovered and will be transported to Georgetown. There was an issue with the absence of poll books. We are looking particularly at Region 1. We discovered that none of the poll books were present. We have since made arrangements for these poll books to be transported from Region 1, and we hope they will get here maybe by today. On Friday, when there is a flight out from that area, we are told that one of the poll books may be missing from the total, but when they arrive, I'll be able to give a proper update. But we had a situation where party agents were objecting to the absence of these poll books as part of their reconciliation. Ward, meanwhile, complained that persons in the recount breached the recount guidelines by using their cell phones to video and stream the various controversies that erupted inside the ACCC. According to the PRO, persons found breaching the guidelines will be warned and, if need be, evicted from the venue. CARICOM team. Let me read that piece again. According to the PRO, persons found breaching the guideline will be warned and, if need be, evicted from the venue. CARICOM team. The Caribbean Community CARICOM team were meanwhile present in the venue, scrutinizing the process. According to Ward, the 3-member team spent the day inspecting the work being done at each of the workstations. Absent from the recount, however, was the Carter Center, whose attempts to return to Guyana to observe the recount have been blocked by the APNU AFC government itself. In an interview at the Artichoke Convention Center, PPP presidential candidate Dr. Irfan Ali lamented their absence. Very important for Carter Center to be here, Ali said. Absence is a devastating blow to democracy. Mine workers, the presence of the Carter Center at the ongoing national recount is very important. Presidential candidate of the People's Progressive Party, Dr. Irfan Ali, has said, as he expressed optimism at the possibility of the observer group being able to return at some point of the recount process. PPPC Presidential candidate Dr. Irfan Ali, speaking at the Archam Convention Center on Wednesday on the sidelines of the national recount, Ali bemoaned the absence of the observer group that had been denied entry into Guyana by Mr. Moses Nakamutu and Joseph Harmon-led COVID-19 task force. I think it is very important for the Carter Center to be here. The PPPC presidential candidate stressed, noting that the party has been pushing for the return, but to no avail. NMWUG President Sherwin Downer, meanwhile, he's pleased that other observer missions, including the CARICOM team, the Organization of American States, and the European Union have been able to participate. Ali expressed hope that at some time before what is anticipated to be a 25-day recount concludes, the Carter Center observers will be able to return. The absence of the Carter Center, notably the Elections Observer Group, is as a result of denial of the request to travel to Guyana to complete the observer mission, which they began in March, since departing on March 20th due to the concerns over the COVID-19 pandemic and harassment by APNO AFC supporters. The Democracy Watchdog group have continued to express their desire to see the electoral process through to the end. However, this objective was hampered by denial of their travel request by the COVID-19 task force. On Monday, the center had deployed a member of its team to Miami to travel to Georgetown for the purpose of observing the national recount. But the individual was unsuccessful in joining the flight due to the denial of clearance from Guyana's officials for him to travel. The Carter Center have noted that they continue to reach out to the Guyana government officials to understand what is required to allow their team to return to Guyana to observe the recount process. Despite these hindrances, the Center reiterated their commitment to providing an independent assessment of Guyana's electoral process, including the recount. And this is a devastating blow. Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Carter Center, Jason Carter, their absence has not gone unnoticed, with the National Mine Workers Union of Guyana dubbing it a devastating blow to democracy. President of the NMWG, Sherwin Downer, in a letter to the editor on Wednesday, posited that there is time for the situation to be remedied and for the observers to return to Guyana. The absence of the internationally recognized and reputable Elections Observer Mission, the Carter Center, to observe the national recount, which commenced today, Wednesday, is a devastating blow and the darkest day for democracy in Guyana. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish to concur that I think there are dark forces involved in this, the darkest day for democracy in Guyana. The Union, he added, remains hopeful that the COVID-19 task force and the Foreign Affairs Ministry would reconsider their position and allow the observer mission to come to Guyana. Downer emphasized, it is still not too late to ensure the necessary clearance is granted for the team to travel, as they called on civil society, trade unions and the religious organization to voice their concerns over the developing situation, which does not augur well for the image of Guyana. Downer went on to say that as President of Guyana, of the above-mentioned organization, I wish to remind all stakeholders that Guyanese expect that the national recount will be credible, and only on this basis the government should be sworn in. My hope also is that whichever government is in power, they will govern in the best interest of everyone. He remains hopeful and anxiously awaits the arrival of the Carter Center. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, I was pleased to present this from the RKS Guyana Free Media, this reading for your edification, for your understanding as to what is going on here in 2020 as the recount is in process. It is a sad thing that the Carter Center is not here. I feel very pained, very ashamed, and very sad. It is obvious from certain things that are happening that there are certain intentions certain things in place to want to frustrate a proper count of the votes of the people. Friends and families, brothers and sisters, may the peace and blessings of God be with one and all in our country, and may we have a proper count and tabulation of the votes. Thank you. Farewell, friends.